Five, four, three, two, one. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. A couple of weeks ago, I had suggested doing a webinar on my 90-day ROI for AI, and we're going to move that back a week. So we're going to make it a week from Wednesday, and I will be putting up the links, and you can register, and we'll try and do it. I think I might do it through YouTube. Because everyone kind of has YouTube and you can get there and everybody can see it. So we'll give it a try that way, and away we go. What I wanted to do was go over to YouTube here and show you some deep fake stuff, and it's an interesting take that I haven't had before. So let's play that one, okay?
This is a deepfake too. I'm not Adele, but I am an expert in online manipulation. So deepfakes is a term that's used to describe video or audio files that have been created using artificial intelligence.
My favorite is probably Lisa Vanderpump.
It started as a very basic face swapping technology, and now it's turned into film-level CGI. There's been this huge explosion of like, oh my goodness, we can't trust anything. Yes, deepfakes are eerily dystopian, and they're only going to get more realistic and cheaper to make. But the panic around them is overblown. In fact, the alarmist hype is possibly more dangerous than the technology itself. Let me break this down. First, what everyone is freaking out about is actually not new. It's a much older phenomenon that I like to call the weaponization of context, or shallow fakes, with Photoshop and video editing software.
There's so many needs.
How about the time Nancy Pelosi appeared to be drunk while giving a speech?
But you never know with this president of the United States.
Turns out that video was just slowed down at 75%.
It was very strange.
You can have a really simplistic piece of misleading content that can do huge damage. For example, in the lead up to the midterms, we saw lots of imagery around this caravan of people who were moving towards the US. This photo was shared with captions demonizing the so-called migrant caravan at the US-Mexico border in 2018. But a reverse image search showed it was actually Pakistani refugees in Greece. You don't need deep fakes, AI technology to manipulate emotions or to spread misinformation. This brings me to my second point. What we should be really worried about is the liar's dividend. The lies and actions people will get away with by exploiting widespread skepticism to their own advantage. So remember the Access Hollywood tape that emerged a few weeks before the 2016 election?
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want.
Around that time, Trump apologized, but then more recently, he's actually said, oh, I'm not sure if I actually said that. When anything can be fake, it becomes much easier for the guilty to dismiss the truth as fake. What really keeps me awake at night is less the technology, it's how we as a society respond to the idea that we can't trust what we see or what we hear. So if we are fear-mongering, if we are hyperbolic, if we are waving our hands in the air, that itself can be part of the problem.
So I think she's made her point, and I think it's a really interesting one. And I think that we need to think hard on this, and we need to search for the truth. I mean, that's really it. You can't take the bottom line is you can't take your opinions from what you see on the news, right? Whether they use deep fakes or they don't use deep fakes. You know, I mean, we had shootouts in Iran in Syria a few weeks ago, and they were from Kentucky. We had the Amazon burning, and they were from 20 years ago. So it's my daughter was a news editor for one of the major networks for a couple of, she didn't stay too long. She said it was very depressing, but she said it was really common that they would use old footage from, to talk about news that happened today. They would use footage from years ago and in a different location, different context. So it's just like as this opinion piece suggests, it's a common thing. So search for the truth. Watch here. You might get some truth, or at least you'll get opinions with integrity. I think that's about the most we can promise. Right. And on that note, let's just go over here to my thoughts for the day. First off, this is the first warning I've seen, and I wanted to post it because it came from the FDA. Now we're starting to see CBD in everything, and I'm thinking that maybe it's going to be like gluten. Pretty soon you're going to see CBD free on items, just because people may react the other way against it. I just have always thought, it's not a great idea to put additives in before you kind of know what's what. I wouldn't be the first to jump on the bandwagon, but I think a lot of food brands feel the opposite. So anyway, apparently there's some danger, and that's about all I'm qualified to say. It says CBD, the FDA bluntly stated November 25th that CBD has the potential to harm you, and harm can happen before you're aware of it. And potential dangers are liver injury. Now, that's something that I don't think is talked about enough, and that is that basically anything that you take, Advil. I had a friend who died from kidney failure from taking too many Advil. He had a shoulder injury, and he just took like 6 at a time and thinking it wasn't going to do anything. And by the time they got him in the hospital, it killed him. So, any drug is potentially dangerous, and it also can cause changes in alertness, gastrointestinal distress, mood changes, and other things. So I would say something to think about before you put it in your food and market it heavily. At least make it an option. Don't change your whole brand. Okay, it was really hard. I tried to figure out how Black Friday went, and every article I saw, I had to really search. I had to basically say what happened on in-store sales. And what I found was that e-commerce was up 20%, reaching $70.4 billion. Now, the danger here, back when the internet first started going, right, a lot of direct marketers, a lot of traditional catalog companies started tracking orders by email versus mail, orders by online purchase versus phone. And they drew the erroneous conclusion that the method of ordering should dramatically change the method of contact. And so many catalog companies said, we don't have to produce an expensive catalog. All we have to do is have an online presence. We worked with a retailer not long ago, 2014 through 17. They had the impression they'd grown by opening new stores pretty much for 15 years, and the CFO told me that if they could do anything besides opening stores, they'd do it, and they were investing heavily in their website. And the thinking was that if they had a compelling enough website, that they could sell anywhere and wouldn't need the stores. And what we found over the course of those 3 years was that actually most of the online sales were coming from within just a few miles of the store. So probably people saw the store, went in the store, but weren't tracked, and then went home and bought online because they could. And so we have to, as a marketing industry, be very, very careful. And you have to. It was extremely difficult to even find out what the in-store sales were, much less anything else. And really, it's a shift only in the way we place the order. It's not necessarily a shift in the way we make decisions. So what happened here was, and now what's interesting was, there was a 43% uptick in buy online, pickup in stores. And my son does part-time through the holidays, and really through the whole year, at one of the major retailers. And he said the BOPIS, BOPIS, I think he actually pronounces it out, whatever. But he said that's way up. he said it makes them crazy. It makes everybody running around going and picking orders. But what that one little detail reveals is that consumers are not so much interested in not visiting the store as they are interested in not navigating the store. Because I have a horrible time finding what I'm looking for. And if I can, what I'd like, to be honest, is I'd like an app from a Menards or a Home Depot. I'd like an app that said, okay, I don't need them to pick the item. I mean, want to decide between multiple items. But what I would like to know is it in stock, and where do I find it? And give me a little GPS in the store to take me right to the item. That would be fine with me. That would be, for me, better than the buy online, pick up in store, because there's often nuances and there's other items and other choices when you get to the spot where the item you think you want is. There might be a better solution. But so I want to go there. I just don't want to wander around aisle after aisle trying to figure out where I'm going, especially if I have like 3 items in a Home Depot. You can be wandering around for days looking for that. And so I think this is a really key metric. And then there was another one where retail traffic was down 2.1%. Overall sales declined 1.6%. But I don't know if they counted the people just picking up items as traffic or not. Interesting question. And what we have to remember is that only that it turns out there was a slight 2% increase in people who in the percentage of people who bought in the store, which helps quite a bit. Here was another interesting point that Oliver Chen made on Saturday, and he expects the overall holiday season to be up a little bit, but not as much as Retail Federation said. But one of the interesting thoughts, he said Walmart and Target are positioned to benefit, but also Nordstrom's. Now, why do I highlight Nordstrom's? And he said because their store traffic, there's been more in-store traffic. Now, what's interesting about that is there was a catastrophic report about May where Eric Nordstrom got on and said, hey, we had disappointing traffic. Why? Because they cut back mail. And they said they're taking steps to reinstitute the mail. And so Nordstrom's learned a keen lesson, which was just because people are buying in store or online doesn't mean that mail is ineffective. And they reinstituted their mail program rapidly in order and they had cut it across the board, and they said store traffic declined precipitously or dramatically. And when they went back to mailing, the store traffic increased. So don't think because someone buys online that they aren't interested in some physical reminder to go to the store. Kohl's mails an enormous amount to my house. Mail is a great driver, and what we found with that 3-year stint with the national retailer is that mail could drive store traffic far better than email or an online presence. It was a clear winner, and it exploded their sales. Now, we also used TV, and we had broadcast TV in the market where there were stores, drove traffic to the web, and then we mailed people who visited the web. But that one little detail exploded the sales. So just wanted to let you know we got some great stuff coming up in the next day or two. Good to get back here and talk with you again. Don't forget, we're going to do the AI case study involved. We'll talk about the retail case study. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friend.